Nigerians yearn for change. And our elder statesman with huge wealth of experience emerged as our president, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria. We all hailed his emergence and call him champion of change. Within 30 days of assuming power, Nigerians are asking about this change. We sure need change, a change for a better and greater Nigeria. But what form, what type, what are the modalities for this change? Some say the president is slow, some say he isn't a magician. Let's keep that, for now, in perspective. The truth that you cannot take away from Mr. President is the fact that this man remains a very, very sound, pedigreed gentleman with integrity, with reputation, with huge commitment to his fatherland and passion to evolve a better and greater Nigeria. We shouldn't forget in a hurry that the president is up against 50 solid years that have coincided with an era of waste, leakages, corruption, and impunity. He sure needs time. And your support is very, very important at a time like this. He says it all the time, he cannot do it alone. He needs you and I to join hands with him to evolve Nigeria of our dreams. Tonight, I have the pleasure of speaking with this gentleman again. I shouldn't forget in a hurry. About 20 years ago, when I had the singular opportunity of hosting him on the same platform towards a greater Nigeria as PTF chairman. And of course, several times over after that, in and out of office, Mr. President had always honored our invitation. This shows the passion and the commitment this gentleman has towards evolving the Nigeria of your dream, the Nigeria of my dream. Nigerians, join me to welcome this gentleman that means so well for Mother Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. You're welcome again, sir.
Thank you very much.
How are you today, sir?
I think I'm fine.
I can say so, sir. You look fine. And by God's grace, you will remain fine.
Thank you.
My very first question, sir. I guess before even starting, I should congratulate you on your success at the polls. Your victory at the polls is an affirmation that Nigerians truly wanted a change. Nigerians want the change in all spheres of our economy. As a TV broadcaster, I should know. Can you share with us your idea of change?
Well, I think my idea of change, I made it quite clear during my campaigns. When I visited 35 of the 36 states, and they held meetings, town hall meetings in Lagos, in Kano, here in Abuja, with interest groups and religious groups. And we have been very consistent. When I say we, I mean the party APC. We identified three fundamental problems. One, security, insecurity. It's not only in the northeast, but still the Delta region, not only economic, but the incessant abduction of people across the society, old, young, men, women, children, yes, and extorting money, so that people are not very free. So our first problem APC was insecurity. Secondly, economy, unemployment of youth. It is reliably mentioned that over 60% of Nigerian population are youth. And most of these youth, whether they have been school or not, are unemployed. And I saw this clearly in all the states I have visited. Young men, I think in the early 20s, you know, certainly from 30 downwards, they normally dictate the face of convoys. They go in front, they are running, sweating in the sun. And on several occasions, I felt really frightened because if these young men turn against authorities, there's nothing authority can do.
You're right, sir.
So our second fundamental issue is economy and employment. The third one is corruption. So we have to break this vicious cycle. Insecurity, the downturn of the economy, unemployment, and corruption. I believe Nigerians know that we have got a Herculean task. And the way we have approached it certainly is to make sure that the military, the police, and other law enforcement agencies have really been properly trained, equipped, and that their morale is high. If you send them on a roadblock, they know their children are safe in barracks somewhere. Their children are going to school. Their families can go to health center and get medical treatments. The main problem of Boko Haram is taking a great toll on the nation. And under the Chad Basin Commission, we are getting together, those countries involved. That is Chad, Cameroon, Niger, Nigeria, and Benin. When you get that physically on the ground by the end of this month, then we have the time to turn our attention to Delta. The amount of crude being stolen and the sabotage being done to installation, the pipelines and other installations, if you see the figures in dollars, you will be amazed.
Very staggering.
Exactly. So we are trying to do that. And then on the corruption, we are trying to get people, especially the technocrats, the civil servants, and the private sector to help us, help ourselves, in the sense that the cost of corruption is so high. We are trying to get revenues from NNPC, from customs and excise to go to the federation account. And I believe a couple of weeks ago you have seen how the governors came. About 23 of the 36 states, ordinary workers are not being paid. Yeah. We reached such a disgraceful state of affairs that we can't even pay workers as rich as Nigeria is. It's very disgraceful. And we try to get the National Economic Commission, headed by the Vice President, to make sure that the center, the federal government, knows about the state commitments, the type of debts states are getting from in and outside the country, to make sure they try and live within their means so that at least workers are paid regularly. That should be the priority. And of course, I try to get the roadblocks off. so that the efficiency of the police and the military is not affected by just sitting on a roadblock for weeks, for months, and some of them for years, instead of going back to their formations and train and face the real threat of Boko Haram and militants. So I think for these three fundamental identified issues of insecurity, corruption, unemployment is what this government has to face. And then in terms of infrastructure, power, it is again very disheartening. From 1999 to now, Nigeria spent about $20 billion on power, but still we are not very near what is expected. I think crying over this spilt milk wouldn't do much help. We are quickly getting into records now and seeing which is the best way we can quickly get power. Generation, Nigeria is blessed. We have so much gas. We have installations that we will try to repair. Transmission is what cannot be done overnight. We have to see quickly that will be done. And on the positive side, within the week I was on in, I went to Niger, I went to Chad, I was to go to Cameroon, but I was invited by G7. And the G7 from United States downwards promised to help Nigeria. And we have got our trophy list, and we are going to send it, and we believe we are expecting positive response.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. A good thing you've tackled three major thrusts of your administration, which undoubtedly you have repeated often a time, that of insurgency, that of unemployment and corruption. This takes me to yet another question. This has to do with our refineries. Our refineries. You did mention that it is important we generate revenue from NNPC and other revenue generating agencies. Our refineries must work in order to enhance our nation's economy. The once moribund refineries are suddenly, as we learned, springing back to life. And we expect them to start production a few weeks from now. Can we attribute this to your strong determination and patriotic resolve to return the refineries to their previous state of productivity? The magic word.
I cannot claim that magic word.
So tell us what happened.
It will be honest if I do.
And we know you're a very honest man. Deliberately ask the question.
I see. The problem is, if I will go back to our historical facts about the petroleum industry, I think most Nigerians that are interested in economic development, we used to have only one refinery in Port Harcourt with capacity of 60,000 barrels a day. It was upgraded to 100,000 barrels. Another one was co-built in Port Harcourt to produce 150,000 barrels a day. So Port Harcourt alone had the capacity of 250,000 barrels a day refining capacity of Nigerian crude. Then when I was serving as Commissioner of Petroleum, which means Minister under General Obasanjo, we signed the contract for Warri Refinery, another 100,000 barrels a day, and then Kaduna, 100,000 barrels a day. So we used to have a capacity of 450,000 barrels a day. And Nigerians that are following knew that when I went back as a head of state with Professor Tam W. West as minister, we were exporting 100,000 barrels a day of refined product after satisfying home market. because we have 4 refineries, we have more than 3,500 line pipes laid from Lagos to Maiduguri, to Gusau, to Kaduna, to Yola, to Benue. All those have been destroyed between 1999 and now. The damage done to the industry that we depend on, you need to see it to believe it. Well, I have said no need to cry over spilled milk. Now we have to go back and rehabilitate the refineries. They have started some work. What we will try and do now is stop the sabotage of breaking the pipelines, of stealing the crude, so that we can be on our feet again, economically and security-wise. Maybe they have read the history of the development. Today I was fully briefed by NNPC, and I reminded them of what it used to be.
You should know.
And ask them to please cooperate and let's quickly bounce back, so that we need this money for social services, for infrastructure. And I believe they will listen to me.
Interesting, sir. My next question is still related to the point you just made. We know that for us to evolve a better and greater Nigeria, there arises the urgent need to diversify our economy. We cannot continue to rely on oil, and oil. This takes me to remembering how the groundnut pyramids of the northern Nigeria looked. The palm oil plantation of southern Nigeria, the rubber plantation of the Midwest, the cocoa plantation of western Nigeria, and even the fishery industry in the south, south, and southeast. Those are good old days. Are you looking at this non-oil sectors of our economy, sir?
Yes. Again, during my campaign trips to 35 of the states, I told you, and plus Abuja, our quickest way of getting employment for those able-bodied persons, especially the youth, we identified as agriculture and mining. We have vast potentialities, as you just mentioned, in agriculture. And is the quickest, apparently, to absorb able-bodied unemployed persons. And then mining, I'm sure you must have known about what is happening in the lead deposit in Zamfara and in other states where there is so much illegal mining. Nigeria is blessed again with solid minerals. We are going to turn again to developed countries that are willing to come and bring capital and expertise to develop our solid minerals and to help us in agriculture in terms of inputs and advice and so on. So really, we understand our problem, and we are planning and asking the cooperation of developed countries that have voluntarily offered to help us, not only in security, but again on employment. And I say the vicious circle is insecurity, unemployment, the economy, infrastructure, power especially, and so on, and then corruption. So this vicious circle, this party, APC, we have to tackle it because it's the most realistic way of getting Nigeria to bounce back as economically viable country.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Nigerians and foreigners alike are commending your indomitable spirit and that you've become a shining example for all the people aspiring to various leadership positions. And this is what they call never give up spirit. What motivated you after several trials to go again for the presidency? Today it had not been effort wasted. But can you share with us, the junior ones like me and junior ones out there we want to learn from you?
I think people who have been listening to me have shared this several times. I said it so often. When I went out of detention, I went home and I saw people leave me alone because they knew I didn't have the money to give them. But people kept on coming to ask questions and expecting me to do something about it. Not necessarily material, but political, participation. But eventually, I started considering the only way I can get some respite is to join Nigerian partisan politics. And on the day I did, in April 2002, I said it. Those who know me and even myself, if I were told that I find myself in Nigerian partisan politics, I would say it can't be impossible. But then again, something happened. The Soviet Union in 1991 collapsed. As I said, this is an empire in the 20th century, left without shot being fired. That's when I believe multi-party democratic system is the best form of governance. Hence, this strengthened my belief to go into partisan politics. But then, for it to be credible, elections must be free and fair. That's why I joined APP 2002. By 2003, there were governors, there were commissioners, there were senators. I was given the ticket. Of course, the rest, as I said, is history. I was kicked out. I spent 30 months in court. 2007, I tried again. I failed. I ended up in Supreme Court. 2011, I tried again. And
you didn't make it? 2011?
2011, I didn't make it. I spent about 9 months in court. Eventually, I made it this year. So I think it's a question of identifying one's interest, believing in it, working for it, and maintaining focus.
Thank you, Excellency. Really maintaining focus. On a lighter note and lasting note, during the campaigns, Nigerians observed your deft handling of crude and unfounded accusations against you. Most of us were thrilled by your sheer display of humility, sincerity, and candor. Shall we expect similar effective communication skills and strategies now that we are blessed to have you as our president?
Well, I think the bottom line is a question of patience, steadfastness, because after being a head of state for 20 months and then going into detention for more than 3 years, for 10 years, Nigeria didn't bother where Buhari was and what he was doing. The fact that nobody can prove that I have abused trust at any level. I was a governor, I was a minister, I was a head of state. Then Abuja gave me PTF. He made a law, and at one stage, the PTF was having over 53 billion naira of that time in the banking system. We planned, we executed projects from education to healthcare to roads, you name it. And again, nobody found anything remotely of trust abuse on my part. Then suddenly Nigerians believe that I'm quite valuable, and they support me.
It's been quite interesting talking with you, sir. We wish you continued success. Good to see you again, sir.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
Well, Nigerians, for the past 28 minutes, 30 minutes or thereabout, I've been chatting with the #1 citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, an elder statesman, a father to most of us, a man that is genuinely committed to actualizing a better Nigeria for you and I. A man that is saying, I can't do it alone. I want all of you to join hands with me to build a Nigeria of our dreams, where we can stand tall amongst committee of nations. That is the man, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. I remain your uncle, Motayo Motisho. I will be with you next week for another thrilling edition towards a greater Nigeria. And remember, to evolve a greater Nigeria, we don't leave it to the government alone. Today we are blessed with a government that is very, very decisive, focused, and sincere. What you and I need to do is to ask ourselves, in our own little way, how can we contribute to making Nigeria a better place? God bless you for joining us. We'll see you same time next week. Nigeria has come to stay, and by God's special grace, President Muhammadu Buhari's administration will be a huge success. You have a role to play. I have a role to play. Good night. God bless.